Good morning, gang. Happy Wednesday morning. Okay. One of the core tenets of life is planning and preparation. And I'm not necessarily talking about being a prepper, okay? But in anything you do, you plan, you prep, you take care of it, right? Honey, let's go on vacation. Great. You make hotel reservations, you book your plane. Not many people, I'm assuming there's always somebody, goes to the airport and says, gee, what plane has an empty seat? We'll go there. Okay. Nobody really gets in the car and says, we'll just find a hotel when we get wherever we get to, right? No, you plan. You got grocery shopping. You make a grocery list. I'm out of onions. I'm out of ground beef. I need to buy those. You don't walk into the grocery store and say, gee, I'll just buy whatever, right? You plan, you prep. The same thing goes for prepping, surprisingly, okay? But we only do half of it, or at least most people do. They look around and go, oh, the inevitable boogeyman, right? Do we have any idea what their capabilities are? Somebody's going to come at me. I'm going to stop them. Okay. How? What's coming at you? Is it two tweakers that are looking to, steal copper pipe out of your garage? Or is it a platoon of mercenaries? Big difference, okay? The plan isn't the same. It's why we need to gather intelligence of our own, okay? No, you're not a CIA operative or anything like that. You're not doing all that. But you start looking at what the other side is telling you, what your potential enemy is telling you, and whether the potential enemy is BLM or Antifa, whether it's the Karens running around going, we need to deport all white males, whether it's the Russians, the Chinese, whomever, okay? You need to think and investigate, what are they doing, okay? Last week, I told you a story about a former CIA operative who was on the Joint Terrorism Task Force, who warned that the Iranians were going to go after small town America. Funny how yesterday we had a story of 5 Iranians and 2 Uzbekis getting captured trying to illegally cross the border from Canada into Vermont. Not a whole lot of big cities in Vermont, guys. Okay. I don't think they were here because they wanted to go get jobs as engineers, right? Okay. And last time I checked, there aren't a whole lot of Iranians or Uzbekis out picking strawberries in Vermont. Okay. Go back to 9/11 and where did all those people cross the border? They didn't come from Mexico. And you wonder why we have all these Canadian tariffs, okay? It ain't only fentanyl, right? There's other problems too. We're just not privy to them until you think a little bit. So this morning, I was reading an article, Russian press, if you will, written by a economics professor, a research professor in Russia by the name of Dmitry Trenin. Okay, and I'll link it below so you can go read it. Yes, it's all in English. But his comment was, or the title was, World War III has already begun. And he lays out his premise as to why. And in some of it, he's absolutely right. In some of it, he's drastically wrong, at least in my opinion, because like anything else, he has a tendency to lump everybody together, like the United States or Western Europe or whatever is one big conglomerate. We've all got hive mind. We all think alike. Not true. No different than I could say the same for the Russians or the Chinese or the Iranians or anybody else. In here, he talks about a war, potentially a nuclear war, that Russia needs to prepare for because he sees Western Europe not sure if they're going to defend against an attack from Russia, which means it's on Russia's mind, or if they're going to attack Russia themselves. Now, the problem I see with all of this is he's missing the big picture. I can't speak for Germans or French or British, the population. I can only speak for myself, basically, what I know about the American population. But we don't want war. The population. The politicians, sure they do, because the only thing they are concerned with is money and power. And again, I will bring up the same comment I make over and over and over again. When's the last time you've seen a president send his own kid into combat? Right? We haven't had a president that's seen any combat since George Bush. Okay. And I mean, George Bush Jr., W, was the only one who had military experience since the late 90s, in 30 years, okay? Nothing out of Clinton, nothing out of Obama, nothing out of Trump, nothing out of Biden, okay? None. You can say whatever you want about Trump being part of military school or whatever. That doesn't count. But in this article, Trennan is talking about how the Russians need to prepare the people for conflict, for war, to get rid, because as he says, we're already in it. We need to know this. This is gathering information. What are they trying to do? Now, personally, I have no animosity toward the Russian people. I have no animosity toward the Chinese people. I have no animosity toward the Iranian people or anybody else until you wind up threatening. You're a Islamic terrorist. Yeah, I got a big problem with it, okay? If you're in the United States and your loyalties aren't to the United States, Ilhan Omar, okay? No, I got a big problem with it. You're a terrorist. You're a threat. We will take care of that. But I'm not thinking that, Natasha and Ivan sitting in their house in St. Petersburg, getting ready for work in the morning, putting food in the kid's belly and sending them off to school. I don't think they're a threat. Nor are Ming and Yang sitting in Shanghai somewhere doing the same thing. Are they a threat? No. The threats we have are the Xi regime, the Putin regime, the Pelosi regime. Those are the threats. The ones that are trying to rally people to fight. I'm not a believer in all this kumbaya crap and everybody gets along together. All right? Not going to happen. You know for 100% certainty that I am not a globalist. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, globalism will never work. Ever, ever, ever. Simple reason behind this is I'm not learning how to speak Mandarin or Swahili or anything. You're not going to have one supreme power. Adolf Hitler tried it. It didn't work too well, okay? And you can go through all the other ones who've tried in the past without the technology, Genghis Khan or Napoleon or anybody who had illusions of grandeur that they were going to be the world leader. Good luck. You can't take care of it. These leaders can't control their own countries. You really think they could handle the entire earth? Not going to happen. We have too many cultural differences. We have too many economic differences. We've got to get the economic disparity taken care of. Everybody's got to have the same. No, sorry, not going to work. We got different resources, different places, different beliefs, different religions. There are way too many differences for everybody to all be together. The easiest way solution, the only solution, is a peaceful coexistence. You want to be Muslim? Great. There's a whole bunch of Islamic countries in the Middle East. Go live there. You want to be Buddhist? Great. Go live in the mountains of Tibet or whatever. We have the First Amendment that gives you freedom of religion here. Yeah, great. You want to practice any of those here? Sure, but you're not taking over. Okay, that's it. Your beliefs do not become my beliefs. The end. But you need to pay attention to what these other entities are doing and saying. And this is why we talk about so many of these things all the time, because I will bet a lot of the information I put out to you is probably the first time you've heard some of it. I'd say, if I had to guess, 60%. Some of it you may have already heard the stories on. Some of it I didn't hear anything about that. Okay. Because I do the digging. I try to share the information because I want to get the people knowledgeable about what is out there. But when you've got people, again, like Professor Trennan here, telling the Russian people to start preparing for war and what they need to do differently, that tells you a lot, because maybe he's some whack job. Maybe he's somebody in Putin's inner circle. Don't know. But this is the information that's being put out. It's no different than Mark Cuban, for example. He's not in anybody's inner circle, but he has a lot of people's ear. And when he says something, people may act, may listen. Know your enemy. Learn as much as you can about them. It will make you much more prepared to defend yourself against anything. Pinball out.